The village was not far from the company camp. It stood on the northern slope of a gradual hill and looked down over a broad sweeping valley, patchwork with tiny hedged farms. On the south side of the hill was a deep forest. Through this forest wandered a lane that led to the unit's lines. On the brow of the hill, facing each other across the road, stood two tiny churches, one a Roman Catholic church and the other an Anglican. It was Christmas Eve. There was a dance in the church hall. The girls of the village were already there, waiting for the soldiers to arrive from camp. Old women bustled about the hall with refreshments they had brought. The three-piece orchestra tuned their instruments. The flat, broken music of their tuning carried out in the still night air and mingled with the thin, delicate tinkle of the Catholic church bell. As the soldiers came along the path through the forest, they heard the church bell, muffled and delicate in the distance, like music from an old-fashioned music box. Overhead, through the naked, silent trees, some stars twinkled in the north. The air was crisp and exhilarating, and the men walked briskly in little groups, talking and laughing. And then suddenly, in a shimmer of magic silver out of the night, snow began to fall. A faint whisper crept through the forest, and a soft confining weight seemed to press down upon the earth. The men stopped still and, unbelieving, looked up into the fine swirling mantle. Across the mind of every man swept the ecstatic memory of snowlands of his beloved Canada. With a wild, quickening blood beat, they shouted for joy. Snow! Snow! Look! Feel it! They danced in the roadway, they turned their faces to the sky to catch the soft melting crystals on their faces. They even stuck out their tongues and tasted it. Mad, like drunken men, they continued on their way, reeling, singing, shouting, and their uproar rolled through the night. Villagers standing at the crossroads heard them and watched them approach, and frightened, drew back from them. Oh, Canadians, a woman snorted, and turned her child away from them. But the child, wide-eyed with curiosity, peeked around at the men. In the dance hall, the girls and the old women heard the shouting and singing as they approached. The Canadians are coming, someone shrieked. They're drunk! Hear them! Faint shrieks mingled in the suddenly intense air of the hall. Everyone stood with caught breath waiting for the drunken Canadians to appear. The men burst into the hall in a wild clamor. They stormed the timid orchestra. One soldier dragged the pianist from his instrument, stool and all, and standing over the keyboard, thumped out the opening bars of a wild reel. Another took the violin from a bald man's hand and with a "Thank you, Daddy," began to fiddle. The soldiers on the floor found breathless but willing girls, and in a moment the hall rocked to the wild, happy surge of the old-time reel. The night was half gone before people realized that the Canadians weren't drunk at all, but simply full of wild, soaring spirit. Had anyone explained to them that there were on earth people to whom the miracle of falling snow brought a wild, unutterable happiness, they would have shaken their heads in complete mystification. Time and again throughout the night, the men went out into the darkness and stood alone in the falling snow, breathing the fresh crispness, feeling the blood quicken in their veins, and, drunk with a nameless ecstasy, thought of their homeland. 1,000 voices seemed to whisper out into the snow. Hushed, tense, beckoning voices. Canada, Canada, Canada. The snow swirled in the darkness and the voices died away. The snow stilled and hovered like a cloud, and the voices caressed the air. And out of those moments when each man stood alone in the snow, out of the mantle of blessed night, came the thrum and beat of the life murmur of that mighty magic country that was to each man home. It came like a faint echo out of time, as of something once heard and long forgotten.